So we talk all the time about nonprofit versus for profit, and it's so fascinating to me because I only work in the nonprofit space, but I run a for-profit business, right? So I'm always in these both sides of the worlds, and I see what works really well for me in the for-profit world, but I'm also empathetic with what may need to be different in the nonprofit world. So talk to us a little bit about what's unique around this scenario planning when you're comparing what might be appropriate for the for-profit world versus the nonprofit world.
Certainly. So there's so much that's applicable in the way that we run our for profit businesses for our nonprofits, right? It's
Hmm.
always a helpful frame of mind to say, well, our nonprofits are businesses. They should be
Hmm.
run as businesses, and it's okay to be attentive to the bottom line.
Hmm.
But that attentiveness to the bottom line isn't the only factor that goes into any nonprofit's business operation. And so when we talk about scenario planning and the difference between how it might happen for the for profit versus the nonprofit, I really think that it's in the stakeholder definition. So, in a nonprofit, we have a greater number of stakeholders at the table than the typical for profit organization.
Hmm.
So, from an internal perspective, of course, we have our team members, we have our professional leadership. Going out, maybe one more layer, we also have our board members, committee members, those really active volunteers.
Hmm.
But then when we start to expand the view. A nonprofit also needs to recognize the importance of stakeholders that are beyond that initial scope: donors, a broader range of volunteers, community partners, and of course, the people who we serve, our beneficiaries or our clients or the recipients of our service. And so that's a differentiating factor that means that when we go through that scenario planning process with a nonprofit, we're
Hmm.
talking about financial impact, but we're also talking about mission impact. What would a potential scenario have in terms of an impact on those who we serve and those who are affected by our work? And that's something that doesn't typically come up quite as high on the list when a for profit is doing scenario planning.